Hello friends, today and in this video we want to discuss about packet tracer 741 implement DHCP version 4. As you can see, addressing table and also topology here. Objectives are configure a router as a DHCP server. In this situation, we should configure R2 as a the DHCP server, and DHCP server should assign IP address to all of the devices here, to PC1 and PC2, and maybe other devices. As you know, DHCP is a protocol to assign IP address dynamically and automatically to our network devices, computers, printers, maybe routers, interfaces, and something like that. And also in part 2, we should configure DHCP Relay because, as you know, for example, if R2 choose as a server, DHCP server R1, and R3 should help R2 to send this packet and these packets and IP address to PC1 and PC2, and we can call R1 and R3 DHCP Relay. And also in part 3, configure a router as a DHCP client. And after that, you should uh, choose and you should select PC1 and PC2 as a client, because PC1 and PC2 want to get IP address from server, and we can call them and we should call them DHCP client because need to have IP address dynamically. Okay, in this, you can also read scenario here, but you can see instructions in part 1 and step 1, configure the exclude IP version for addresses. As you know, for example, in our network, we want to exclude 10 IP address because some devices like DNS server, for example, in this network, want to have fast or a static IP address. And in this situation, we want to reserve 10 IP addresses here. You should go here and configure R2 to exclude 10 first IP address from R1 and R3 LANs. Okay, and all other addresses should be available in the address pool, in the DHCP address pool. You can see network address for R1 LAN and R3 LAN here, and you should go to config terminal mode and right here IP DHCP exclude or reserve IP address for 192.168.10.12 1010. The 10 IP addresses has reserved as fast IP address in this situation. And also it's same for cherry LAN here and R3 LAN here, and should reserve it. Okay, now we have other IP addresses here and should assign to other devices after 10. I mean, for example, 192, 168, 10, 11, 2, 224, 25, 254. You can assign to other devices here. Okay, you should go to other section here. In the other part and other step, create a DHCP pool name R1 LAN. The pool name must match this value in order for you to get credits for your configuration. Okay, in this situation also in R2, because R2 is a server, and you say IP DHCP and pool. You should also define pool for both of LAN here, R1 LAN and R3 LAN, and name is R1, for example. This is the name. and this is optional. Okay, and under this pool you should define which network you want to implement DHCP. This is implement for network address. Network address is here, and you can see subnet mask is 24. It means you can write here 20 255.255.255.0. And also, what is the default gateway here? Default gateway here is 10.1. If you go to R1 G00, G00 is here, and this is default gateway for devices here. Okay, because devices want to get IP address, you should use this default gateway, and doesn't need to also write here subnet mask, as you know. And also, it's essential. You should also, if you have DNS server, it's essential. You should write here IP address for DNS server and IP address for DNS server. You can refer to addressing table, and here you can see addressing for IP address for DNS server. Okay. And what about R3 LAN? Configure the DHCP pool to include the network that default gateway and RP address of the DNS server. Yes, I have done about that. DNS server, default gateway, and also network, and also pool. Under pool, we have configured information about that. And create a DHCP pool on R2 for the R3 LAN. As you know, also pool is a group of assignable IP addresses and network configuration parameters. Okay, we should also create R3 LAN pool for this network here, and this side of router, right side of router. And also you should say my network is 30. As you can see here, I have gained it from here, and I have gotten from here. And also you say my default gateway for R3 is here, G00, also here, G00 IP address, and also DNS server for all of the devices in this network. You can see in this network is here. All of the devices has same DNS server. Yes. Okay. And save it. Do WR or do write. You can save it. And in part 2, we should configure DHCP Relay. Now we should go to R1 and R3 and say, I am DHCP Relay for this side of network, and for this network 192, 168, 10, 0. I am relay. You should go to enable mode, and after that, as you know, configure terminal. Yes. And now, which interfaces? You should say this is interface G00. This interface is N2 devices like PC1 or more, maybe other devices, but we don't have any devices here, only this one. And also with this command, IP helper command address, you can say, yes, I am DHCP relay, and what is my address here? You should assign this IP address 10.1.1.2, this IP address for this interface, because our R2 and this interface N2 R1, and this is connection between R2 and R1 from R2 side. Okay, and now it will be activated and enabled. And it's the same for R3. Yes, interface G00 and IP helper, excuse me, IP helper should be, yes, this IP address 10222, and also do right. Okay, and configure DHCP relay. I have configured R1 and R3 as a DHCP relay agent, and set PC1 and PC2 receive IP addressing information from DHCP. You should go to PC1 and under desktop and under IP configuration, you should set it on DHCP, and you can see DHCP request successful because DHCP and in this device after the DHCP will be activated, this PC send discover to a network here and R2 say I am server and send offer to PC1 and send IP address, for example, 192.168.10.11, and after that PC1 send request. Yes, I want to do that. I want to have it. I want to get it, and acknowledge by R2. This is the last step here, and it's the same for PC2. PC2 after DHCP send discover and offer and request and acknowledge and get IP address and get default gateway and get also DNS server here. Yes, and what about configure configure here? Okay, and configure R2 as DHCP client. Also, we have a connection between R2 and internet. This is ISP, and ISP should give and assign a public IP address to R2, and this is outside of internet, and this is inside of our network, and this is outside of our network. In this situation, we want to enable and activate this interface of row 2 to get IP address from internet. Yes, it's like a modem that you have used in your home, and modem that you get from ISP should set on the DHCP. Okay, in this situation, you should come back to config mode. Okay, and which interface that we have here? This is interface G01. Yes, G01 DHCP assigned. You should write here G01. Okay, after that, after G01, you should write this command here, IP DHCP, excuse me, IP address DHCP and no shot. And in this situation, you want to say to this network, this interface want to get IP address from other side. For R2, internet or ISP is a DHCP server, but for other devices here, R2 is a DHCP server. And you can see here, to verify that, show IP interface brief. First, there is nothing here. There is no IP address here because we want to get any time. And now you can see recognize neighbor, and this is neighbor of devices here. And now you can see that we can get IP address from ISP, and this is difference between this situation and before that, because we want to have almost 30 seconds to get IP address. And now, for example, PC1 can ping PC3. And it will be successful as soon as possible. Yes. And also we can, for example, ping this IP address, this public IP address. Yes. In the other side. I don't know about this IP address is here or now, but no, there is nothing. This is not true. Okay, and I can also, for example, what is IP address of here? It's better to ping this IP address in the other side of our network and wait for get ping packet. Yes, and you can see we can ping PC2, we can ping also server from other side and also ISP, and it's correct. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe me and support me and leave me any comment. And if you want anything, please write for me about networking, about CCNA. Thank you for watching.